If you've been interested in Bluetti and the offerings that they have, this video is going to be for you because I'm going to cover everything from the AC60 all the way up to the EP800, the full home backup system, which I don't have here because I have it installed in my house. So we'll touch base on that a little later in the video, but I'm going to be starting with the AC60, moving into the AC200L to the AC240 to the B210 battery, to the AC500, which I have two of these, but I've only got one of them set up in this display. And I'll show you that a little later in the video as well. And the B300S battery and the solar panels that they have available for you for purchase as well. This is a 200-watt solar panel. They have a different variety of solar panels that you may be interested in. But like I said, if you're interested in Bluetti products, this video is going to be for you. Bluetti's having a massive Prime Day sale. So I wanted to touch base on every one of these because I do get a commission if you purchase these through any of the affiliate links that I have below. And that's how I support my channel. That's the only way that I can end up doing these videos. I'm going to try to save you as much money as possible, give you an honest review, and only recommend products that I would use personally. And every one of these are products that I use personally. So if you're interested in portable power stations or the EP800, be sure to check out the links in the description below on Prime Day and save a ton of money. And I'm not just trying to sell you an item. I want to do the most honest review that I possibly can and only support companies that offer high quality products. Bluetti is one of those companies that I truly trust in, or I wouldn't be doing this video. But if you've watched any of my review videos in the past, you know I push these things to their limits. And only items like this would I recommend if they can surpass my expectations. Because if these would have failed, there's no way in hell that I would actually recommend it to you guys, because I would not want to fork out $4,000, $2,000, $1,500 and the cost of these things and not be honest with you. So I'm not trying to just sell you on something. If you want to support the channel and you're looking at Bluetti, this is the video that you want to check out because I'm going to be talking about all of these. And you'll also want to check out my full review videos on everything that I've tested in the past, including the EP800. And I'm going to start with the AC60, move my way up to the EP800, which is hardwired in my house, so I can't move it out here and have it in the display with all this. But I want to start with the smallest and move my way toward the largest. And then we're going to talk about the solar panels as well. The AC60 is IP65 rated. Now I have smashed mud into the side of these vents here. I sprayed it with water. I have put this through a pretty good test, and I've got a full video on that if you want to check that out. But my favorite small portable power station, you're looking at it right here, the AC60. There's only one thing I don't like about it, and it's that the screen turns off after about 30 seconds. I do believe that Bluetti will get that fixed in time because all these other units, none of them do that. There's just not an option in the app to be able to have this stay on forever, where I wish there was. That's the only negative that I have about this thing, because it is expandable. It has two expandable ports right here that can expand it. I think it's up to like 2 kilowatt hours of capacity. It's got a light on the back of it that it's pretty cool. I like that it is shining backwards, because if you have this thing facing toward you and this against the wall like this right here, that's typically how you'd want to use this. I don't like the lights being in the front that would shine right in your face when you're using it. So that's kind of cool. I do like that. It does have a charger on top where you can charge the phones. So they put that back into the smaller units, which a lot of people like that. For me, I don't care for it. I'd rather just plug it into a fast charger, the 100-watt USB, and charge my phone so much faster. Or a laptop, something of that sort. Almost everybody packs that around with you, but I can understand the convenience of having that up there to just toss it up there if you're sitting around a campfire or something. This is all waterproof outlets. As long as you have these caps put back on there, spray it with water. You just can't submerge it with water. But at 600 watts, it 100% does that. And in my test, in my full review, I did that from 0 to 100. This has the right protections in place. It did not damage the unit. And I am super impressed with the AC60. Next, we'll talk about the AC200L. And this is basically the older version of this, kind of similar, but I favor the AC200L over the AC240. Although this is IP65 rated, I like this unit here, and I'll give you a couple reasons why. First, the capacity is larger, and this has got a better solar intake than this 240 does. However, if I was using outside, that's a clear winner because you can get rained on, dust, whatever, you're protected. This one is not. So you've got to really figure out how you're going to be using these units to determine what you want to buy. But this is a pure sine wave, and every one of these systems have been tested for pure sine wave to make sure the waveform is exactly what they say they are. And these all checked out perfectly. So back to this is a 2400 watt inverter with 2048 watt hours of capacity. And I forgot to mention what it was on this. This is 403 watt hours of capacity. So you can see the difference in size. We've more than quadrupled the capacity by moving into this and the output. So you can look at the size of that. It's not quite 4 times as big, but it performs 4 times better if you need that much power. So moving over to here, the AC240, this is IP65 rated. So you can throw water into any crevice at any angle on either one of these units here, and you're going to be safe. Now, something that these two have in common is that they can use the B210 battery. You're going to need the cable that is compatible with this to this if you're using it with that one, or a cable that is compatible from this to this, because you see the expansion battery port right here. This one is slightly different than the one that is on the AC240. So depending on what you're going to be using this for, my recommendation, if you're outside, pick that one. If you're going to be using this mostly indoors or in an RV, use that one. The B210 battery is compatible with both of them. Just make sure that you're purchasing the right cable for which unit you're going to be purchasing. We're going to move on over to this. Pure sine wave again was tested. Everything here has these covers on them that makes the IP65 rated, and this has an additional box built around it, so the fans and things are protected as well. This has a capacity of 1536 watt hours, although the inverter is compatible up to 2400 watts of output. The solar input on this is a little bit tricky for me. I like the solar input on this a little bit better than this, but depending on your needs, this might be the perfect system for you. So you could put up to, I think it was, let me see if I can move this around. You could put up to 1200 watts on this, but the tricky thing is it's 11 volts to 60 volts at 21 amps. But you can put 1200 watts of solar in that if you have the right solar panels. This one is compatible. I think it's on the other side. Let me see if I can move it around. This one is compatible up to 145 volts, which I like a lot. With my setup, I have larger solar panels, and I could put like 4 of those in series, and this will charge. So this would charge up faster for me than that right there. So that's my kind of differences between these. I like both these units. They both perform flawlessly. It's just, what are your needs if you're going to be picking between the 200L and the 240? Now, if you need something a little bit larger, we're going to move right on over here to the AC500. If you have 2 of these units, you can power 240 volt systems. With one of these, you're going to need the AC500 and the B300S batteries. Gives you a capacity of 3072 watt hours, but an output of 5000 watts and a max of 50 amps. So we have a 50 amp outlet here, a 30 amp outlet here, another 30 amp outlet here, and a couple 20 amp 120 volt outlets right here. So this is 120 volts, 120 volts, 120 volts. But what makes this special is when you have two of these and you connect them together, you're taking this 120 volts, connecting it to another one, 120 volts, making a 240 volt system out of it. And the way you do that is you go into your settings and you go over to, let's see, right here, single phase, and you make it a split phase system. So that's, you would need two of these systems to do that, but this can power everything in my shop. This 240 volt mini split that is 24,000 BTUs. This 120 volt mini split that is 12,000 BTUs. This 30-gallon air compressor, all of the lights in the ceiling, the two garage doors, the plugs, pellet stove, the ceiling fan, a large shop fan, even this hot water heater, plus a bunch of other stuff that I just didn't mention that this thing can handle, because you don't run all those systems simultaneously and you can put 50 amps of output on this thing. That is a lot of juice to cover a lot of different appliances in your place. Whether you're using this as a complete home backup, because you definitely can if you're not using over 50 amps on anything you got, or you're putting it in an RV and you're using it for a lifestyle on the road. This thing is completely badass. And I'm just gonna say it straight to you. I do love the AC500. The only negative things that I don't like about it are these big cords that stick out the side. If we can come up with a different way of connecting that, that would be perfect. I do believe Bluetti will, because you can make 90-degree angles on this. However, I don't always support the 90-degree angle on all of these power stations, because there's different ways of setting them up. If you wanted this side by side, you can't use a 90. But that's where these cables offer you that flexibility in your design, whether you're going stackable or side by side. And then when you're looking for the ultimate backup, you may want to consider the EP800. This is an off-grid system. They do make an EP900 that can backfeed into the grid, but I didn't need that. I wanted the off-grid system, the EP800, paired with the B500 batteries. This gives me roughly 15 kilowatt hours of backup and an output of 7,600 watts. Maximum input of 9,000 watts of solar and a range of 150 volts to 500 volts. To give you an idea of what this thing is backing up, let's take a look at what I got labeled here. We got a hot water heater on here. We have all of these are circuits that are running down into this, and it powers this constantly with absolutely no problems. And we have a lot of stuff going on in our house. The difference is this is hardwired in. So this is going to an AC disconnect, because I have this set up that I could charge this with the grid if I would like. Then we have this hardwired in to our distribution box that is separate from this. So all we did was take all of these breakers and put them over here. And now this is powering our essential loads, while this is going to be powering our larger loads like the AC and the furnace. And I do have a full video on the EP800. I actually have a 6-part series if you want to check those out. I'm going to leave my reviews for every one of these in the description below. So if you want a full review on anything that I've discussed here today, then check out the description below, because I have a link to all of that. I do want to talk about the 200 watt panel that Bluetti offers. Now they have different ranges. The 200 watt worked perfectly with the AC60. So I wanted to have a 200 watt, because what I power most of these larger power stations with is these big rigid panels like this. These are Aptos solar panels, 400 watts bifacial. And I use these on the larger power stations. I just connect them into series and then run them up here into the side of the shop and then power the power stations with them. And then I use the 27 panels that I have on top right there to power the house. And that's why I elected to get the 200 watt panel over a larger panel. because I already have the larger panels. Why would I need a 400 watt foldable panel? I just don't see the need for it in my scenario, but you guys might want the 400 if you're traveling and you just need a larger panel, or just buy 2 of these 200 watt panels. Plus, the voltage range on this is compatible with the AC60, where my voltage range coming off those larger panels are not. So this paired perfectly with the AC60, and that's why I chose it. I am going to take this outside, set it up, try to get a good angle, and see what type of watts that we can get out of it. I'll put an inline meter on it. I'll connect it to the AC60, and we'll see if this can get close to the output of 200. If it gets 140, 150, I'll be happy, because most of the time, although the efficiency on these are rated around 23, 24%, my output that I get off of them are not quite as good as you would get with a bifacial panel. And I wouldn't expect that out of a portable panel. So don't think that you're gonna buy a 200 watt portable panel that is mono and get 200 watts out of it, or a 400 watt panel and get 400 watts out of it. Expect, out of this, 150. If we get more than that, I'll be happy. So let's take this outside. We'll wait for the sun to pop out and get a good reading on it. Before I take it outside, let me show you how big this panel actually is, because folded up, it looks tiny. But when you unfold it, it's got a decent footprint. I did catch off camera 168 watts. Clouds going in and out, and I might not have had the perfect angle to it. I think you could possibly push out 172, 175 out of this panel. And that is really impressive for a 200 watt panel that's flexible and portable. And don't forget that I'm gonna have discount codes in the description below on everything that's on sale, so you can save as much money as possible. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and I introduced you to the line of Bluetti products, everything from the AC60 all the way up to the EP800, including their solar panels. If you have any questions on any of these items, be sure to leave me a comment in the description below, and I'll do my very best to respond as quick as possible.